Watch out for headbutts. In two of Hopkins'
move, he ran in with his head down again, as you see right there.
He's about Hopkins' supposedly demonstrated penchant. Right goes Calzaghe down on a
great point-to-point right hand.
What an embarrassment to Calzaghe, and already
Calzaghe proved that in his last fight with Kessler, where he came back and turned the fight around, and Bernard does.
Perhaps the product of the
fight. No one has a better work rate. He trains as hard as anybody. Fighters.
Also, Bernard probably, I don't think anybody ever known him.
Time Calzaghe nears Hopkins. Bernard is reaching out and clutching him with the left arm.
Well, Mayweather had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, and I think so far it's Hopkins who's keeping Calzaghe from doing.
They're very difficult to land clean punches on. Both of them are very good defensive fighters.
And now when the two fighters are engaged in what might be called clinches and it doesn't look like much is going on.
The Benny Briscoe, and he's, who kept his head down, which avoided from getting hit, made opponents hurt their hands, but also he's...
And that's saying something, because Calzaghe's always been able to impose
right hands in the past. The crowd boos as Cortez warns Calzaghe. Body shots by Calzaghe. Hopkins drives him away with a counter right.
You got to give him an extra point to round one, just like you said, for the knockdown. But Jim, I got to tell you.
But just because you have the numbers doesn't mean you won the round.
Big right hand from Hopkins.
Lacey of the United States a couple of years ago.
The way in which they request you to do, you don't have to do it mandatorily. When you come to the arena, I think they say Calzaghe seems to have gotten more comfortable with the rhythm and flow of the fight, and is setting the tempo, and Bernard is
comfortable and ready to start really doing his thing. I'm surprised when he does that, Hopkins doesn't punch.
Very concertedly covering up inside to make sure Hopkins didn't land anything.
He said the more identifiable punches. Whenever I see sweat flying.
Beyond that, Bernard is not having a good flow of anything else. Similar to the right hand, he really knocked out, really, for the most part, Robert Allen.
Earlier, Calzaghe landed a good straight left hand to the body and the left upstairs. Calzaghe getting in more punch. Or maybe they just wanted to.
He's coming in, but he doesn't have any power. His punches are just a little thin, smother you right away after that. So it can be a very rough fight to score. Calzaghe hasn't stepped back and shot a left uppercut when Bernard goes forward, because Bernard runs in with his head down every time.
Punches than he did earlier.
Easy by moving and boxing in and out a little bit. He can fight a much smarter fight.
Show Calzaghe. Now there's only a 1 point difference because Hopkins has that.
Scoring another knockdown.
Well, I think it's also possible that the
fighter that's ancient in boxing.
And it's amazing too. I've never
incredible athlete.
Amazing man.
Well, he spent 17 years fighting,
and still he was very weak, making 160. He's been a light heavyweight a long time.
The best way to make Bernard Hopkins fight offensively is to go hit him, as Calzaghe is doing.
That's what I was saying right there.
Around to Hopkins, which evens the fight on his scorecard.
It's back when he's back to Antoine Edwards. I thought was his last really aggressive fight, even when he beat Trinidad.
Another 4-punch rally by Calzaghe. Punctuated, hopping left hand. There's a solid left from Calzaghe. Hopkins, Calzaghe constantly trying to apply pressure, trying to speed the tempo of the fight, trying to make the 43-year-old man fight. Box numbers in 8, Hopkins 15 out of 38, Calzaghe 22 out of 65. And the urgency of the issue is portrayed in the...
But he still ought to be good straight left.
Good straight left hand by Calzaghe. That's been pretty rare. Hopkins gets in the right hand.
Improvisational ability is what we're seeing here.
Hard right hand for Hopkins, but Joe was rolling with the punch.
And he's coming right back and not letting...
That are making the sweat fly.
Another straight left hand for Hopkins. Excuse me, for Calzaghe.
I mean, you've been saying it's a tough round to score. Calzaghe, the aggressive guy, and Bernard throwing fewer and fewer punches.
For an Academy Award for a movie that takes place in April. Straight right hand by Hopkins. Suddenly the fight looks like Joe Cortez there explicitly stating, I'm not trying to take any points. This round may be on the table as we come to the last 10 seconds. And both guys let the...
Younger, faster, higher volume of punches would outwork Bernard and win.
Careless there, leaving himself wide open. And Bernard still is a KGO guy. See if
Third is a judge from Illinois, whose record is not all that in later on, as the fight progresses toward the decision.
Hopkins' old, tired arms were just unable to keep up with Calzaghe's.
Aside from the Michael Spinks, preparing him to win the title from Larry Holmes, was Roy Jones, moving way up to a heavyweight.
No penalty. Cortez says go right ahead and fight.
But might there be retaliation?
If they want to flurry of F-bombs for his son.
You know, but in the corners, Hopkins' corner, again, those early swing rounds, depending on whose favor they go in, might determine the fight. And the final one, and they're both fighting hard.
As I always say, the Nevada judges consistently like guys who force the fight.
It was a given when you compare their style. Certainly looked in the first few rounds as though it was more than possible. Does the fact that no point was ever deducted for the 2 times that the fight was stopped because of low blows by Calzaghe. As the seconds tick away. And they fight past the bell.